Good morning, kindergartners. Today is Monday, April 6th, and we are going to start our learning out today with a read aloud, just like we would do on a normal Monday in class. So the story of the week is called Abuela. And abuela, you might know what that means already, but it is a Spanish word for grandmother. And the characters in the story are mostly a grandmother and her granddaughter, and they're going on an adventure. So just like normal, we have some vocabulary words that I want you to be listening for as I read. So the first one we just learned, abuela. Abuela means grandmother in Spanish. The second word you're going to see is flock. And you can see that right here. A flock is a group of birds, and in the story you'll hear that word a couple times because they go to a park and see a flock of birds. The next one you see is airport, adventure, city, and harbor. Now, these words all have something in common. Most of them do. I hear a lot of places in our vocabulary this week, and that's because one of our skills that we want you guys to be focusing on this week is called setting. When you're reading a story, you want to try to figure out where the story mostly happens. That's called the setting. And if you look at our story rope up here, the very top of it is a little house. And that is what we use to identify the setting. Remember what setting is. It's where the story mostly happens. Now, this story takes place in lots of different locations. So as I'm reading, I want you to be thinking, where are they now? Where is the story mostly happening? When you hear one of these words as I'm reading out loud, I want you to touch your ear like this, just like we do in class. So let's start. Abuela. This story is by Arthur Doris, and the illustrator who did all the pictures is Elisa Kelvin. Abuela. Abuela takes me on a bus. We go all around the city. Abuela is my grandma. She is my mother's mother. Abuela means grandma in Spanish. Abuela speaks mostly Spanish because that's what people spoke when she grew up, before she came to this country. Abuela and I are always going places. Today we are going to the park. El parque es lindo, says Abuela. I know what she means. I think that the park is beautiful too. Tantos perritos, Abuela says, as a flock of birds surround us. Did you hear our word? So many birds. They're picking up the bread we brought. What if they picked me up and carried me high above the park? What if I could fly? Abuela would wonder where I was. Swooping like a bird, I would call to her. Then she would see me flying. Rosabella the bird, Rosabella el perro, she'd say. Then, abuela, which means, come, abuela, I'd say. Si quiero volar, abuela would reply, as she leapt into the sky, with her skirt flapping in the wind. We would fly all above the city. Mira, abuela would say, pointing. And I would look as we'd soar over the parks, the streets, the dogs, and the people. So kindergarten, I want you to be thinking about what's the setting of the story so far. Keep thinking about that and we'll answer the question at the end of the story. We'd wave to the people waiting for the bus. Buenos dias, we'd say. Buenos dias, good morning, they would call to us. We'd fly over the factories and the trains. And glide to the sea. Cerca del mar, we'd say. We would almost touch the tops of the waves. Abuela's skirt would be the sail. She could race with the sailboats. I'll bet she'll win. We'd fly to where the ships are docked and watch people unload the fruits from the land where Abuela grew up. Mangoes, bananas, papayas. Did you know those are all Spanish words? So are the words rodeo, patio, and burro. Maybe we'll see a cousin of Abuela's hooking boxes to fruits and cranes. We saw her cousin Daniel once unloading and loading the ships. Out past the boats and the harbor, we'd see the Statue of Liberty. Me gusta, Abuela would say. Abuela really likes her, and I do too. We would circle around Liberty's head and we'd wave to the people who are visiting her. That would remind Abuela of when she first came to this country. Vamos al puerto, she'd say. She would take me to the airport. Remember, airport was one of our words, and that's a place, so we can say that might be the setting of this page. She'd take me to the airport where the plane that was first brought her here landed. Abuela would tell me that we have to be careful as we would go for a short ride on the plane's wings. Then we would fly to Tio's, Pablo's, and Tia Elsa's store. Pablo's my uncle. He's my tio. And Elsa is my aunt, my tia. They'd be surprised when we flew in, but they'd offer me some cold limonada. Flying is hard work. Pero quiero volar más, Abuela would say. She wants to fly more, and I want to fly more too. We could fly to las nubes, the clouds. One looks like a cat, un gato. One looks like a bear, un aso. One looks like a chair, una silla. Descansemos un momento, Abuela would say. She wants us to rest a moment. We would sit in our cloudy chair, and Abuela would hold me in her arms with the whole sky, our house, nuestra casa. We would be as high as the airplanes, the balloons, and the birds, and higher than the tall buildings of downtown. But we'd fly there too and look around. We would find the building where my father works. Hola, Papa, we would say as we waved, and Abuela would do a flip for fun as we passed by his window. Mira, I hear Abuela say. Look, she's trying to tell me. And I do look, and we are back at the park. As we're walking by the lake, Abuela probably wants to go for a boat ride. Vamos a otra aventura, she says. She wants to go for another adventure. That's just one of the things I love about my Abuela. She really likes adventure. Abuela takes my hand. Vamos, she says. Let's go. So, that's the end of our story today called Abuela. And I want you to be thinking about the setting. So, what do you guys think the setting of the story was? Where did the story mostly happen? I know from our vocabulary you can kind of think about the places they went, like the airport, the city, the harbor, and the park. So what do all those places have in common? I think that the setting of our story is outside in the city. And the story mostly took place outside in a city. That is what we call the setting of a story. So as you're reading some other books this week and drawing some pictures in your journal, I want you to try to identify the setting of your picture or of a story and where your story is mostly happening. So thank you for reading with me today, and I look forward to learning with you this week. Bye.